Ben Harper is single-handedly responsible for ruining Australian music. This must end.
Salvador Dali threw a great party. We all drank Bacardi. It got kinda gnarly. We're light as a feather. We're tougher than leather. Together we're weirder together.
You know what I was remembering? There was a phase a few years ago where it seemed like the cutting edge of health hacking, life hacking, science was people drilling holes in the top of their heads.
Oh my God.
Do you remember that?
God. But wait, why were they doing that?
There was meant to be something about blood circulation where it gets more blood to your brain. And there was a huge article in Vanity Fair and then like no mention of it. It seemed like the science was going in a direction that was going to support the validity of these claims, but never happened.
That's right. I'm thinking of Dave Navarro with the hooks, but that's different. Wait, that freaks you out more than the drilling on the head?
Straight up.
Oh, okay.
So for people who don't know, beautiful babies, firstly, welcome to Weirder Together. It's Ben Lee.
Ione Sky.
And we're just jumping straight into Dave Navarro's bodily modification. It feels like the perfect conversation for a weekday morning. Dave Navarro got into this sort of like kink fetish thing of being suspended by hooks through your skin.
Yeah.
Which is pretty tough, I got to say.
Listen, I had like a hangnail on my toe that bothered me for like a week. I can't even imagine.
No, but it's comparable.
The mind is very fascinating that you can, a tiny thing can bother you so much and then a big thing you can, it's so mental, certain things. Like I notice when I'm in a good mood, I can tolerate the cold and I can work out better. I was doing a boot camp with Amit Zappa at one point.
Barry's?
Maybe. I can't remember.
I believe Barry has the famous boot camp.
I know that the song one of the songs they used was, what was that romantic song? Like, I'd give you diamond rings and anything.
Anything by Dramarama.
They used to play that every time.
Me and Liz Fair covered that.
We would like
Sundance.
work out to that song. And I was like in a great mood. And then I was developing a crush on Amit because we were working out together. And then he fell in love with Selma Blair and I was depressed and I couldn't work out as well.
This is, now Amit Zappa you've known since he was a little boy who didn't wash, or what was his story?
He was sort of grubby. His older brother was like a germaphobe.
Dweezil. Yeah.
And Amit was just like a 10-year-old kid who was just like covered in canyon dust from, running around the hills.
It sounds magical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Canyon dust.
But wait, wasn't there a cute nickname or something?
Well, he did end up getting Where the Wild Things Are tattoo, like a grubby. Yeah. But Amit became kind of a clean freak. As he got older. So by the time he was older and I had this crush, which I don't think we would have been who knows? We wouldn't have been a great match. I'm glad you and I worked out.
Me too. It would be weird if this was the moment you chose to reveal that your actual soulmate was Amit Zappa.
But if you are into the hooks, your mind probably makes you kind of like, it doesn't hurt as much because you're so into it. Who knows?
Yeah, mind over matter.
Mind over matter.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you...
The hole in the head, I'm just thinking it's like bacteria. I'm just thinking, why would you want to expose? The skull is there for a reason.
Yes, the skull is there for a reason. That is one of the least controversial statements that we've ever made on this podcast.
I think the skull should be even more protective, so you don't have to wear a helmet. But
skull reinforcement.
Yeah,
that would be cool. Can you imagine all the helicopter mums? Just racing to get their babies' skulls reinforced.
Yeah, really.
Babies with helmets are cute, though. I know there's an actual medical thing happening where they're putting it on to keep the platelets together or something. But you put a helmet or glasses on a baby.
Yeah. I held a baby the other day and it was so cute.
I'm on holidays, baby.
I know. And I held the baby like, when you're a little girl, I don't know if you know this, but you want to have a baby doll and you think you hold babies like cradling them like rockabye baby, and they never like that in real life. Like babies want to be facing forward or they want to be, they want to be in a certain way, usually up and down or something or over the shoulder. But this baby let me hold him like a little baby doll and it was so cute.
Now, do you remember the baby hack that we got given?
Yeah, I did that with him at first. It's bouncing up and down. It's good for your
So you hold the baby. You hold
too.
a baby facing outwards and you squish their knees.
Uh-huh.
Can I hold you like this?
No.
Okay. So you like hold their knees up.
I don't
and
even
it
want you
relieves
to do that.
any
I don't even want you
intestinal
to show me.
discomfort, and you go ch, ch,
Yeah.
ch as you bounce, which apparently mimics the way they heard their mother's heartbeats.
Yeah.
And they really
So that's
like
if
it.
they have an upset stomach. Now there's all these TikToks of how to like maneuver your baby if they have an upset stomach,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Have you learned anything new?
Yeah, a lot of knees going up.
It's a lot of
towards-
squeezing
a lot of
farts out of
squeezing-
babies, basically,
squeezing.
right?
farts out. Yeah.
I just came back from an excellent tour of Western Australia. I didn't go, I mean, last year I played 91 shows around Australia, none of them in Western Australia. I felt like at a certain point I was like actively insulting my Western Australian audiences by not showing up. And we had
Were they
4
happy
shows.
to see you?
They were so happy.
Oh,
and I was so
good.
happy. And I just like, I had the best time. Did 4 shows. It was Freo, Bustleton, Scarborough, and Kwinana. And I just loved them all. And I had great support bands along with me, the Tryouts and Angie Coleman.
You must be getting to know the Tryouts really well.
Yeah, well, I sort of have this like I sort of take, when I was a kid, support bands, like when you start going to concerts, it's a huge experience watching the whole bill.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like when you're just getting into music.
Yeah.
So I take it really seriously and try and have artists that I really love as the opening acts, because it's just a matter of like respecting that like this is like a big experience, especially for young
Yeah.
people that come.
Goldie loved Billie Eilish's opener.
Yeah, Goldie always goes and watches the support acts at her shows, and it's just so I try and take it seriously, but I also am always trying to find those few support acts that refuse to cover Hallelujah in their set. Like that is my that's my sort of threshold.
Do you have like a meeting with them and you trick them?
and
and
say,
you're
I
like-
like request it from the audience, and if they can play,
or you say like, would you or would you not?
cover Hallelujah.
Is you or is you not a Hallelujah cover?
It is one of the biggest red flags if you go and see particularly a solo singer-songwriter and they go, I'm now going to cover Hallelujah. You're like, this is about to be 11 minutes of you trying to conquer something that has already made it to its like.
Who did it? So it was
Leonard Cohen and then
And
Jeff
then
Buckley
Jeff
and then
Buckley.
Rufus did it for Shrek. Rufus, because he's such a, as Ben Folds says, the most expensive voice in show business.
Mhm.
Rufus Wainwright got away with it,
yeah.
but it was a close call. It was a close call.
What's another song that's a bit cringe to cover, or like a too good of a song to cover?
Well, I'm always thinking of like songs that are so iconic that it's absurd to cover them. Like I've never heard anyone cover Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Right.
I don't know if I've ever heard anyone cover Stairway to Heaven.
Right.
Yeah. And these are all with good
Wait,
reason.
I think you should. This is a new
That
album
would be
concept.
so crazy. if I
New
did
album
that.
concept idea.
But I do have a little bit of a music industry hot take
Okay.
that I've been developing on the road, looking at all these acts. So I believe that, you know, music industries and scenes, they reach inflection points where something happens that entirely changes the future trajectory of the scene and the industry. And I believe that Ben Harper is single-handedly responsible for ruining Australian music. Now, this is a hear me out. In much the same way that the Beastie Boys cannot be held entirely responsible, yet are responsible for Limp Bizkit and Korn.
They wouldn't wish this, but it just happened.
It was not intentional. It was an accident. It was a cultural accident, an abomination, if you will. And the father should not be held responsible for the sins of the child or something like that. But something happened when Ben Harper started visiting Australia and did well. And I like Ben Harper. I toured with Ben Harper back in the day, 96. Ben Harper and then Jack Johnson. It captured the imagination of a certain type, a certain segment, demographic of Australian singer-songwriters, males, guys, who suddenly decided that the only music that mattered was roots music. And it all happened around Byron Bay. But it is the reason why you can't kind of go into a pub anywhere in Australia without someone on a cajon now doing a version of Hey Soul Sister by Train. It's the same impulse. And to me, what I most dislike about, it's not the music that I dislike. The music's fine. But what I dislike about the belief that underlies this is that certain types of music are more authentic than other types of music, and particularly that like blues and roots music is the most authentic. I don't believe that. It's full of artifice and, it's like, it's still just like aesthetics that people are dressing up in. And in reality, blues and roots music, Bob Marley is not more authentic than the Ramones or more authentic than Delight or Fatboy Slim or whatever. It's just an idea that people have gotten that roots music is the real music, and Australia bought it hook, line, and sinker. And I do consider it my mission to correct the course. It's partly why now I play basically electric guitar live, because it developed this kind of thing where if you walk in with an acoustic guitar, people make assumptions about you.
You even have a T-shirt that says that one.
World Expo 88. Oh no, yeah.
Well, that T-shirt's amazing.
We got to talk about World Expo 88.
Okay,
it's very topical.
All right, this is very. No, you have a T-shirt that has someone holding a guitar and there's a hand that just says no.
No, it's a David Shrigley comic of a guy reaching for an acoustic guitar and just says don't. And look, I'm being too hard on a lot of his music, but the point is, it's become a trope, and it's become sort of like a orthodoxy that people don't question.
Because, if you're talking about reggae and blues, because the source, it came from political and a black culture, I could see why you would say this is the most authentic, because it comes from such a clear place of injustice or something or other, or comes from such
like freedom fighting music.
Yeah. I mean, the punk scene in England was coming from a place of disparity of, economics and things that were going on in England as well. But when you couple that with also a black or brown or whatever culture, I think that's why people are like, this is the most real.
But then you couple it with hippie culture and it becomes insufferable.
Sure. And also like insulting. That's when, I don't know, appropriation perhaps. I don't know. But I don't want to get too, we were just before we pushed play on our podcast, or record, I should say, we were talking about uncanceling. Speaking of like appropriation and uncanceling, the comedian we love.
We're talking about a Chris Lilly potential comeback. Yeah. I am sensing the tides are turning culturally, and again, purely as an observer of culture, there is a Chris Lilly historical revision on the horizon. Yeah. It's happening.
Yeah, because not everything. There's definitely there's gray tones in all of this cancellation. There's things that are off the table for sure. The rapper, raper, whatever.
The rapper and raper. You mean Diddy? Are you back on Diddy?
Something or other. Those are like, okay, that's crossing a line. But, I'm happy for.
You know what, though? I wanted to talk about, there was one of the clips from this podcast that we put up last week where we were joking with Cameron James about whether it's a gray area to let your kid be on a track with Diddy. And there was actually a number of comments under the clip that were like, oh my God, I can't believe you'd think this was a gray area. And it was like,
a joke.
It's obviously a joke, but it made me realize I do think me and Missy Higgins were texting about this recently, where she was like, I'm not sure if everybody gets the joke that I made or something. My problem is that I'm always playing to the people that get it.
I know.
I never worry about the people that don't get it.
I know. If someone's very literal like me, I sometimes think I would think that wasn't a joke. And some of the deliveries, but that's like high comedy, I guess, if the delivery is so dry in a certain way that you don't know if it's a joke or not, then you're getting into the rehearsal category, or you're getting into like a Nathan Fielder where you're just
Andy
like
Kaufman stuff.
Yeah. Because sometimes I'm like, was that a joke or not? And I worry. I want you to be liked, but there's something almost fun about getting trolls. It means, I was walking back to the house with our friend Lola and I was saying, I've got a couple trolls. And she's like, oh, that's exciting. Because it kind of means you're doing well.
Straight up, yeah. No, it's haters only appear when there's something shiny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm enjoying this moment of attention.
I know. Well, speaking of attention, I wanted to ask you about you just posted this morning this clip from Miranda July's Substack, where she said, it was a fascinating quote, that firstly, she loved your book, Say Everything, out now, order it. But she mentioned that the biggest shocker for her from your book was just how bisexual she is, that you are.
Right.
Now, did you think, because I didn't think of you as ever having been secretive or like
Well, maybe people just thought that it was just like those periods where girls make out.
but
it was
lugs, lesbian until graduation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it went on and on.
Yeah, postgrad. You did the postgrad.
I did like
doctorate, master's program.
Yeah, I did just sort of like a good 8 years, if not more, of, I don't know. So that's more legit.
Yeah. But you didn't I remember like, it's been a process of the last decade of you even using the term bisexual. Like you felt.
Well, I sort of thought I was like a lesbian, I guess.
Okay.
But I
then
never really stopped having crushes on men, but I didn't really think, I don't know. It's not that I didn't think to label myself, but I guess I just thought, yeah, I don't know what I thought.
Bisexual erasure.
And also then it was such a welcoming group of people and it was such a nice space, all these gay women in the 90s in LA. It was so lovely. And I felt so good in this group and going to those clubs. It just felt so good, like a queer space, I guess you would say nowadays. But I wasn't like freaked out by myself or I wasn't closeted, like hiding it. Now I think it would be more complicated. You get like more conservative as you get older or something happens, I think.
What was that amazing story about that like mini intervention Dono had with you in the cab?
Yeah, he said we were in New York and it was like total party era. And he said, it's not the drugs, it's the girls. Like that's what he was upset about.
Put it on a t-shirt. Put it on a t-shirt. I want to wear it now.
But why?
It's just a great t-shirt.
Yeah, it's so homophobic. But it's also my family, my mom. It's also funny when it's it's different for families to take in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's harder for them. But I don't know why my brother would be, because it's very hypocritical, because for someone who probably loves watching girls kiss.
You did tell a great story on How Long Gone a couple of weeks ago about Dono rolling around nude in a Bruce Weber shoot with another male model and coming back and asking you if it was gay.
Yeah. And we were like, no, yes, I don't know. And then he was like, oh, it didn't happen. And then like 20 minutes later, he was like, I did a photo shoot with Bruce Weber rolling around on the floor in underwear with another male model. And we're like, okay.
Go for it. You go
it's
off
Bruce
King.
Weber.
Yeah, go off King.
Do whatever.
But I think part of what Miranda July was talking about was that, and I don't want to give too much away from the book, people should buy it, but you do write a quite explicit piece of erotica, a scene involving a strap-on, that is actual lesbian behavior.
Right.
That's not lug behavior.
Sure.
So I think that's what caught her off guard.
Oh, got it.
That this was not like drunk girls making out. This is like women with equipment.
Yeah. I mean, that's what was, she was coming with. I mean, that's what they, it was, it looked good. She wore it well. I don't know.
Yeah, we listen, we don't judge. Yeah.
But I mean, it was an experience. I'm curious. I'm a curious person, I guess.
Yeah. Did you hear about this group text incident with Pete Hegseth and JD Vance and all these?
Right.
So they accidentally included a journalist for The Atlantic on a group chat discussing some in-depth military plans for Yemen. And it made me wonder, have you ever accidentally texted someone something you
so many
shouldn't have?
times. So many times. Like so many, like, well, so Sofia Coppola's cousin is Jason Schwartzman. And I was writing to who I thought was Zoe or somebody, friend, saying like, ugh, he's so young. He's too young for me, but like we sort of had a date or something. It was like more embarrassing than what I'm saying. And I accidentally like sent it to Sophia. And that's and she was fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was really embarrassing.
And then once you texted me, there's nothing too explicit. It was just like a cute shit photo of you in a bra, but you did text it to me, your mum, and your stepdad.
Did that really happen?
Yeah, that really happened. And what was funny about it was that like anytime then that thread is reactivated,
Really?
it's just like the photo.
Oh God. Well, at least it's just like a bra.
Yeah.
I've learned in my book, there's a great moment where I'll give a little bit where I found Polaroids of my mom and my stepdad doing it. But luckily they were like actually quite, it was just like pubes on pubes. It wasn't like graphic, but still it was enough to make me never want to ever take a sexy picture. And this is even before internet. After that, I was like, I will never, ever have like, underwear bra, but I'll never do a like up close.
Yeah.
I mean, because.
But do you not feel that the pubes, the protective nature of the pubes in that photo, I thought maybe they would have been reassuring. Just been like, hey, if there's pubes, as long as there's pubes.
Yeah, this is how you do it.
Not too scary.
Also, are pubes going to come back?
They're back.
Okay.
They're back.
How do you know?
Because it's all over. There's women. Is there women all over TikTok and stuff talking about?
Okay.
Is it called bush talk or something like that? It's
okay.
The kids are loving pubes again.
Okay, well that's nice.
It is. It's pretty exciting.
The
kids.
Canceled.
The children are loving pubes. That's so weird.
When we old heads say that, we mean young adults.
Oh yeah, exactly. We mean people in their early 40s. Yeah. That's the kids to us.
These kids today.
I know. I was remembering, I only did once, I think, a text to the wrong. Well, now you can unsend messages. So now it's like easy to rectify. But I remember I had to have like quite an, sort of like just like a hard conversation with a musician that I was playing with about not wanting him to play on a record that he was expecting to. Yeah, on my cover of Hallelujah. And I called you and you sort of coached me through what to write. Mm-hmm. And then I wrote it to him. And then I texted you, good news. I wrote and it all went really well, but I also said that to him, which was just embarrassing.
Nice. It's embarrassing, but that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I mean, who was the woman who ran Paramount? Amy Pascal. Like there's the texts that you send to people where you're complaining about somebody.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like there would be so many texts that would hurt people's feelings.
I know, like remember on Real Housewives?
But there's just like stuff that you would be like, oh, whatever, so annoying.
Totally.
I would say to you about someone, but not mean it in a mean way, but I definitely wouldn't want them to hear that.
Well, that's exactly right. It's the idea is the Bill Clinton thing that like lies are what keep our private lives private.
Right.
But do you remember on the last episode of Beverly Hills Housewives this year when they sat around the table and they said, we want to just clear the air and begin healing. So the way we're going to do this is everyone's going to pull out their phone.
Was it Utah or Beverly Hills? Who knows?
Oh, was it Utah? Oh, no, you're right. It was Utah. Yeah. It was Utah. Sorry. Yeah. And we're going to read the worst thing we've written about someone at the table. It was like.
That reminds me of didn't our kid, we had a play date.
Oh, God.
Kate had a play date with a friend.
Yes.
And we were like.
Well, she was how old? She was like 8 or 9.
8. And for some reason we took them to we were renting our house out for a photo shoot. So then we rented another house to hang out for the day, or somebody said, hang out by my pool while you have a photo shoot. And we were like, okay, Kate, the play date's at this other person's house. So it was a little complicated for her 10 minutes into the play date to tell her friend.
Her friend came out crying.
Like all the things she did not like about her.
And it was so funny.
And I was like, we have to have your friend for all day. And like, you shouldn't have done that.
That was a really bad use of timing. Yeah, like, 'cause she was like, she basically read this tirade of everything that was wrong with their friendship as they started this 6-hour hang.
But Kate, just to defend her, she's a sweetie pie.
Oh, she's fully learned the lesson now. Yeah. She's going. What did you hear about 23andMe is going bankrupt?
Why?
I don't know. They just ran out of money.
Oh,
but people aren't using it, I guess, as much. But everyone's being recommended to get their samples destroyed, because if they go into receivership, it'll just be acquired by whoever buys, the leftover, whatever's left of the company.
What can you do with it?
genetically clone people.
Okay. I wouldn't be afraid, but
It's
I
your
should.
genes.
Should
I mean,
I
it's
be afraid?
it's your DNA. Like you don't really want your DNA being
I'm
owned by a
cynical.
company that you
I
didn't.
just feel like it wasn't even a reputable thing.
Oh, so you never believed in 23andMe?
I just feel like you say like, here's my grandparents' last names, and they're like, oh, that's Scottish and a little Irish, and that's Hungarian. I don't know.
So
I
you have
just,
no concern about this. That's great.
well, I don't
Yeah.
know. Well, what can they do with it?
I think having your DNA, eventually you'll be able to do stuff with it. I don't know if you can do stuff right now.
It's just if it's going to cost somebody money.
You don't care about this at all.
Well,
there
I
is
don't
no sense of
find-
urgency to
I
you
don't
about your
know.
DNA being on file.
I get worried about, people stealing money, like,
I'm worried about that too. Yeah.
but not about the DNA. I don't know I'm trying to think it through. Like, if it costs somebody money
Mhm.
to use your DNA, if they can make money, sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know how they would make money.
By cloning humans.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
You just have no interest in this.
Well, no, I have interest in, like, I don't want.
So you're like-
Venmo. Is Venmo safe? I'm scared
Venmo's
about.
not going to steal your DNA.
No, but can they rip me off? I'm just worried about being ripped
They
off.
probably can. Okay, so
financially.
you're just like, take my DNA, just leave my money.
If you want to make another one of me, I don't know. It'll cost a lot of money. I can't imagine someone would spend their money on it.
Fair. I'm going to write about this in our pick of the week this week. So if anyone doesn't know, we have a little newsletter. You get 2 emails a week, one with the video of this podcast and the other with like a piece of cultural stuff that we want to share, like a little bite-sized thing. So you can sign up for that. The link's in the show notes. But the pick of this week is a record I had a huge experience with this week. So I've been, I don't want to get too into it, but a lot of this, as a green card holder, a lot of this stuff going on in America has been quite upsetting to me and quite troubling. And it's like, America's like, I fell in love with America as a kid, and it's just very weird to feel like I don't have the same rights or just my relationship to it shifting under the current administration. And there's this artist called Lonnie Holley who put out this record that just came out called Tonky. And he's a sculptor who grew up in Alabama, black guy, amazing artist. I've followed him for a few years, but he's just made this record called Tonky that I'm almost reluctant to say too much about it, except that I felt it like healing at such a deep level. And I played you some of it yesterday.
So great.
It's because it acknowledges the trauma and the pain that people are in, but it stays hopeful.
And have been in.
But it's got hope in it. It's got love. There's a song on it called Protest with Love. It's just, I needed this record so badly. It found me at just the right time.
Yeah. It's such a great thing to be realistic and talk about the pain of things. And he's such a great artist.
Yeah.
And songwriter and stuff, but also to be like hopeful. Like, I don't know. It's so great. That combination.
It really is. And it's, it's interesting because the way he's a sculptor too, and he works with found objects, and he brings that approach to music, and the music is, it's sculptural in a way.
Yeah.
But we were talking about how last night I sometimes feel guilty for not listening to as much music as I have at other times of my life. Like I don't
Well, when you're a
myself.
kid, you can't stop or teen.
But I mean, I keep up, but I don't listen to it all the time.
Yeah.
But a few times a year, something hits me in a way that reminds me of everything art can do.
Yeah.
And it's like full body chills so many times during this record. And
so good.
I love it. We'll send a mail out on the weekend with some of the little snippets from it. But check it out, Lonnie Holley Tonky. It is absolutely the album for this moment in history.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, we've crossed over into, grown-ups like listen to the news or the radio or talk radio. And when you're young, you're like, why are they listening to talking and not music?
Yeah.
But then you tip over and you're like, I want to hear people talking.
Now, you also have a lot of theories about the dog loving talk radio.
Well, because we talk around the dog a lot.
Mm.
So I like sometimes when we leave the dog,
I'll
put on the news for the dog.
Yeah, fair. We used to put on Howard Stern.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, I was always thinking
Well, I
like,
couldn't figure
how much
out.
was he actually
I
comprehending?
know. And the news is pretty heavy, but I think he's just hearing people talk.
He's doing okay.
Yeah.
He's doing okay.
Yeah, he's good.
So, your book comes out in Australia in, what is it, like the 2nd? Is that next week?
Yeah. It's,
Oh my
what is
gosh.
it? Yeah. So in a couple days.
Oh my gosh.
But you can hear it. You could listen already.
It's on Spotify,
Yeah.
and it's on
But if you
it's on
wanna-
Audible and stuff, I
If
think.
you want to
already.
get it and like hold it and see the pictures inside.
And you're going to do some fun. You chatted to Jess Rowe yesterday.
Uh-huh.
You're going to be speaking to Mr. A+, Michael Theo himself on
Yay!
his new pod, also on Curious Media.
Nice.
And we're going to have a little party, and there's
Yeah.
fun things.
I know. I'm excited. It's still
Coming out.
going.
Yeah, and that article in the Australian was so good. It's so I'm so proud of you.
And I had a good article in Scotland.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, the Scottish are really claiming you.
I'm so happy.
You're being claimed by multiple nationalities.
Australia and Scotland so far.
Yeah, and America.
England, I'm hoping.
Yeah, England. They're playing a little cool with you.
I don't know. I feel like I have to go there on the ground and then they'll like give me something.
I've gone really into Oasis TikTok, and I'm just seeing all these amazing old clips of Noel and Liam on British TV shows, and they were two of the best interviews
Yeah.
that you could ever have in the music industry.
Oh my God.
Their commitment. What I'm so impressed with is they had this whole attitude of I don't give a fuck,
Yeah.
which is like just being Oasis.
Yeah.
But they were so present in their interviews. They were funny. They were on. You only can give that much if you care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I love just, both Noel and Liam, they just cared so deeply, I think, about Oasis. And I'm excited. We're going to the show in November.
Oh, so we really are.
Yeah, I really bought the ticket. I think the algorithm sensed it and has driven me hard into Oasis TikTok. And I'm watching all of these old interviews, newer interviews with each of them. And I am once again blown away by the genius of Liam and Noel Gallagher's individual and united interview techniques.
I know. Some of my favorite moments in our life was when you would read aloud their interviews. It was some of my favorite early dating moments.
I know.
And we even turned it into a show at Largo with Lena Dunham, and Brad Pitt even came and did a bit. But we called it Champagne Super Analysis.
A night celebrating the Gallagher brothers through words and music.
Yeah, and we did great like live readings where I was like Patsy Kensit at one point. And we just read interviews and things. It was the best.
And you and Lena she read like a love letter to, one of you did a love letter to Noel and one to Liam or something.
Yeah, why we were, pushing towards one or the other.
Can you tell the difference now between Noel and Liam?
I can.
I
don't
what
know
a journey
why.
that's been for you.
I know. I just had for some reason, the images like, it's almost like how John Lennon was. You said he was kind of a rough boy, or what did you call him? Like I
don't think I use the term rough boy, but I like it. I like it.
John
Lennon was a rough boy, and
Well-
Liam's a rough boy.
Yes. So I never could see John Lennon that way. I saw him as poetic, but you were like, no, he was kind of like a lad or something. Was that the word? So I think for some reason with Liam, I didn't see him as much of a lad, so much more so than Noel.
Yeah.
So anyway, now I know the difference.
When I'm watching these interviews, what I'm struck by is, on the surface, what you're seeing is rock stars who don't give a fuck, right? That's the role they're
Sure.
playing. Yet they are so present and actually responding to every question that they're fielding from the interviewer. And I was thinking about how even if your persona is arrogance
And deep humor.
absolutely such deep humor, but even if you're being arrogant, the generosity you have to show up and be present in interviews it's a real thing.
Yeah, that's gold. That's another great combination.
Have you found, because you've been doing so many interviews lately, how's it been for you, like showing up and actually trying to be present and respond organically?
Yeah, it does mean you care. And I think you care if you care about what you're pushing And that's maybe why Oasis are present, because they love the music for real. And so they're able to be present, because it's not even that you are like, I need to take care of this person who's interviewing me. You just care about what you're doing, which I don't know. I know that Oasis would think that was corny, but why not care about your music?
And I also think they were playing a role that we demand be played at a level of, like, they played it in such an exemplary manner. Like, we need rock stars who don't give a fuck. Like, we're surrounded by pop stars pandering to us. And
well, it's more like a footy player. Like when they're talking about the game, they're like have a lot of energy.
Yo, Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, they're like talk about it with energy. But there's a thing that if you're a musician or in the arts, you're meant to kind of be like, it's corny to have energy behind your interviews or something, or that you shouldn't be pushing. But if you're like, that fight, I punched the guy out, or I played the football game well, but I messed up here. But you'd have energy behind it and no one would say, boo, corny.
Totally. I remember talking to Billy Corgan about this because we both had liked the idea that musicians and wrestling was kind of similar and that it's okay to play a role.
Yeah.
And I always viewed it as like deeply generous of like Lady Gaga. Like when Lady Gaga came out and was that like aloof Andy Warhol-esque art project.
But committed.
The commitment was so generous. Like it meant she loved the audience and loved the media and wanted to give back.
Yeah.
And I just sort of like look at Oasis and go, this is a band who loved their audience and like loved the music industry enough to actually work for it and to put on a show.
Yeah. Love it.
This weekend, going to be in Orange. People can come. It's a great Southern Nights show. I'm hoping you're going to come along for a bit of a road trip. There's a food festival going on. I think my mum's going to it. And then in a couple weeks, I'm DJing, DJ Dad Bod set at Club Luli, which is a super hip club in Melbourne. And why are you shaking your head at me like that?
Well, I thought it was just a double date. But
I'm just saying people can go to the show.
Okay.
I'm not inviting them to stay with us.
Because we had a fight.
No.
Because we're going on a double date there. And then
Well, it's Karis and John, like your old best friend.
And then I
never
started
get to
inviting
see them.
like a ton of people.
Oh, that's fine,
and then you were like, why are you inviting so many people?
No, but the public are allowed to go. I just meant like, let's have a nice
nobody who knows us can go.
Anyway, it's going to be fun. So it's a DJ set. I'm going to try and pull up.
But if you know us, don't come.
Do not say hi.
But if you don't know us, come.
Do not make eye contact. If you see us walking down
with
the corridor, lower
with another
your eyes.
couple on a double date.
Oh, especially no other couples.
Then
you
know.
Yeah. Don't. You're gonna take over this.
Don't join us for dinner.
Do not join us for dinner. You can send over a cup of mayonnaise.
Ugh.
Didn't Nathan Fielder did that to Joe Jonas?
Sounds bad.
Anyway, on that note, this has been Weirder Together podcast.
So good to talk to you, beautiful babies.
Yeah, and good to talk to you too.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're back.
I know.
We're back in black.
I'm
regular.
back.
Ben Harper, may you carry on in peace and success. All you Ben Harper imitators out there, this must end. Let's wrap it up. Okay, no more covers of Hallelujah. And we will see you out there, guys. Love you, beautiful babies.
Bye.
Together we're weirder together.